taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This is Augmented Reality,
Presented by the Triple S League.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for November 21st, 2020. This is your source for news, leaks, and insights about games in the gaming industry. Saturday edition of the show, rocketing towards the Game Awards, so we're going to be talking about that a lot today. Moontag, how are you doing today?
Good. And hi, everybody. It's great to see you in the live chat. If you're listening live, please say hello and send us your question and comments there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. To tell us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And if you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad you're here as well, and we appreciate your likes and follows. And if you want to get the latest info sooner, hit the link below to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. We also have resident brain in a jar, Cybsidian. Welcome, sir. How are you doing today?
Hello. Good.
Oh my goodness, you guys sound amazing today. Okay, we fixed some of the audio problems we were having, and that just makes me so happy. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just it's one of those days where like we're wrapping up the year. There's not a lot of news, but there's a lot of manufactured news. So so we're gonna get into a bunch of that. So.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on a little bit of it. There was this rumor floating around about Ubisoft buying part of Square Enix. You're pretty sure.
Well, we'll talk about the rumor. I mean, we're going to talk about it because we're going to talk about it. So, but sorry, did you want to do any more announcements before we move on?
No, I think we're going to get into the Game Awards in just a few minutes here. Just a couple of other quick news stories we're going to touch on first. Might as well talk about that. Yeah. So someone had posted on our content requests page on the Discord server, find the link to that in the description below, that there was an industry insider, supposedly, who posted on Reddit that because due to the failure of the Marvel Avengers game, Square Enix was selling one of its branches to Ubisoft, and this would include IPs like Deus Ex and Tomb Raider. But Saib, you're pretty sure that's not the case.
Yeah, that's not the case. So one of the things that I mean, it's a good rumor. It was a good rumor. Is there some possibility to it? There is. But here's why it's not going to happen, and here's why it wasn't on the cards to begin with. Ubisoft is in its own problems right now. They have a massive slew of heavy problems that have been afflicting them for years. So much so that they've been trying desperately to retool their entire lineup. Their entire lineup has suffered, one thing after the other, and is just now is starting to get better. The problems with Assassin's Creed, though, have not been fixed. The only thing that I talk to, everybody that I talk to in our server, in our Discord, professionally, connected, all that kind of stuff, the only selling point, and indeed some of the not selling point, there are some people who are like, I hate this! I don't like Vikings! Vikings are terrible! There are some people like that, but for the most part, everybody's in agreement that they don't actually, they don't appreciate the best thing that they appreciate the most, going the opposite route here. The thing they appreciate the most is the Vikings. And that the combat still has its problems. The story is kind of still not, it doesn't have a big poomph to it. It's got kind of a poomph to it, but some of the characters seem odd. That the player character has some issues here and there. These are all problems that are systemic to the Assassin's Creed brand in the last several iterations. So just because they've made some success with the Viking theme, which is a lot of the reason why people are playing it, why people enjoy it, doesn't mean that this is going to stay this way, and that they have still an enormous amount of cleanup that they need to do soon in their branding for the Assassin's Creed. Now, their other games have also been having some severe issues, and these things are, again, they're working on it. They're progressing. I'm not going to get after them because they're trying to fix obvious flaws in their game, in their games, plural. But Square Enix any company wouldn't sell to Ubisoft right now, because Ubisoft has been doing a lot of restructuring, and during restructuring, you need cash. You need tons of assets in the bank, administrating the issues of firing people that are now bloated and aren't doing their job properly, which means that you're taking a huge financial hit and letting them go, and you're gambling on a new person. Like, you might have the best person in mind. That person might join at a bargain, and then that person just doesn't work out. This happens all the time. And so the idea or the concept that, oh no, it's they've completely turned things around, is only a fool's game. And this is why I think that out of all of the potential places that they could sell to, Ubisoft would be one of the last places that they would sell to.
Is there any indication that Square Enix is actually wanting to sell one of their?
Yes, they are massively in the red. They are in deep problems. Okay. They are deep doo doo.
They do for sure. They are. I'm just curious if there's any.
The Avengers game was a gigantic black hole in their company bottom line when they needed a solid win, which is why they went out of their way to get this title to begin with. But it shows a systemic problem at the company that has been happening to a lot of companies right now. And a lot of companies right now, they haven't figured out the new game meta for their studios. Right now, if somebody were to pitch to me a game idea that consisted of running around and collecting lots and lots of loot in a shooter style, experience, then they would be, that's time to pull your stock out of that company, because the looter shooter experience is dying. It's not expanding. It's dying. Think of all of the looter shooters that have come out recently that have light to paper thin stories. I mean, Anthem was a joke. That story was written on 2 sheets of paper. So it literally was paper thin. You put it on the front side and the back side. Ooh, you're a special guy. You're a guy, right? You're this guy, but nobody really knows about you. And how relevant is that to the plot? Absolutely nothing. Okay, cool. And then you team up with some old people who were once really good, but now they're not really good anymore because of a bad thing that happened. Okay, cool. And then you go and fight the bad thing. Okay, cool. What's going on? Any other story? Nope. Well, do you have some companion? Nope.
Oh.
Well, is there more depth to? Nope. Well, is there a chance to choose the story and kind of direct it, kind of like a Paragon / Renegade? Nope. Okay, well, great. I guess I'll play this random guy who does a thing and fix the bad. Yeah! And then you find out there's more bad people. Oh, like every other online service game to ever exist ever. Yes, once you defeat the one bad guy, you have to fight another bad guy. Oh, wow. That's not new. So now while we have games like Genshin Impact and World of Warcraft that are raking in huge numbers, they're raking in huge numbers mostly due to the story. Right now, everybody in WoW, everybody's kind of peeved. The look at it, Sylvanas, there's still some Sylvanas fans, and then there's other people, and there's a big mystery. What in the world is she doing? Are we going to kill her? Or is she going to be the savior? Like what's going on? Nobody knows what's going on there. And then Arthas, oh my God, Arthas, this character from a long time ago that you remember, and that some people, stuff happened. Like serious stuff happened, and then you experience that through the RTS game, and then you played through that. For in some cases, you played 6 to 7 years to finally have a resolution to that story, and then we discover all this time later that there's more to the story. Now, yes, did they cram it in, and are they expanding on it? When you could argue maybe yes, maybe no. It's clear that the original line, "Father, is it over? Is it finally over?" Like that's not the last words of a menacing madman who went crazy for power. Like that's a line of somebody who's been trapped in hell, and then we find out just went to another hell. So there's a story there that's very gripping and drawing people in. Do people trust Blizzard right now? Very, very not. Like right now they're teetering. Right now they're teetering because we've seen them do several things recently that are like, okay, this is good, this is good. So we think that there might be hope here, right? So people are hopeful. In Genshin Impact, the story is really amazing. The gacha system and the grind is terrible, and they need to fix that. But the story, I mean, I just played through the second act. Didn't buy any new Paimon gems or whatever they call them, but I played through the second act, and it was phenomenal. Like, really, I haven't felt like this, like into like a light story game since like one of the like Final Fantasy VII or something like that. It was giving me these Final Fantasy VII vibes of like, oh, crap! Oh, look at what they just did! Oh no, you didn't! Oh yes, you did! And it's decent, but they have this huge grind problem, which is the same grind problem that you have in all these other shooters. So the looter shooter thing is just, it's not working right now, and I'm worried about games like Diablo and the new Path of Exile, all this kind of stuff, where it's like if they're relying on that mechanic, is that going to be enough now? Because we've just seen the roleplay factor and the story factor kick up to an amazing degree, and for this, we're going to look at Among Us. In Among Us, we have this huge. There's no loot to be found. There's no grind to be done. There's just player interactivity and essentially role playing, because every time you are the murderer, the imposter, you're role playing, this thing with your friends. Like this is traditional role play, a traditional role play experience. It's very similar to a tabletop D&D campaign where you're playing with like the potential to be player versus player. And then at the end, when it's like, oh no, you stabbed me in the back and you killed all our party members and you stole the sword of Fangri-La. I made that up. You suddenly discover that this is what people are now interested in, because they don't have the community experience that they have every day in their normal life. Now they're actually actively looking for that stuff. Some people I talked to in the past, well, like, why do you play games? It's like to get away from people. So suddenly certain games like that make sense, games where you don't have to interact with people. You're just grinding stuff. But I feel that there's this driving need for people right now to connect. And that's what Among Us and roleplay games and story-based games give you, and community-based games, which is why those things are taking off. And one of the greatest complaints about Avengers, the failure, is that there was not enough community interaction and their multiplayer was all screwed up. And now that game is tradition. That game is done. That game is done. Nothing can save that now. Well, not nothing. Like basically nothing can save that now. The PC numbers are down to double digits of players. Double digits of players. This game just came out. It's a current day, big AAA title. And they have double-digit player numbers. That's on the PC, and we suspect that it's even worse on the console.
That's crazy low. Wow.
Like this is bad for them, and so yeah, they're in deep trouble. But the trouble began with them, a few years ago when looter shooters were on the decline, and Anthem should have like given them a whoa, guys, whoa. There is a serious lack of like people willing to put up with trash titles in this niche, in this genre. We have to really pull out all the stops here, and we also have to identify why those problems happened, like what caused those issues. Now again, nobody could have seen the thing that's going on hit. Nobody could have seen that coming. Nobody could have called that like accurately, unless you're in the spy world. And even then, it's kind of like an offshoot. One week you're betting on, that, and the next week you're betting on like invasion from something that I can't talk about. But you're still like, wow, it's like, geez, what's going on? So nobody called that, but the fact that they didn't have the logic to see and understand that there was a serious decline, and like we've seen this decline before. We've seen this decline hit other games. The League of Legends was bleeding players for ages, and they ramped up this heavy, incredibly heavy marketing campaign. You probably saw all the League of Legends commercials, and yeah, and even with that heavy, all they did was stop the bleedage essentially. So there's still a considerable number of people who watch it, but the number of new players entering the thing is getting fewer and fewer. So maybe this might become a thing where this is kind of like, maybe this is the way that esports forms. We don't really know, but still, like you these analysts that tell people, oh yeah, this is going great. These people are idiots. Like 95% of the people who work in the industry of being an analyst with me, they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They're making stuff up. We've talked about this, how they make stuff up regularly. They say, oh, hey, I have some inside information, and on top of the fact that I was able to figure this out, do you know what the next game for Bethesda is going to be? Bethesda's going to put out the next Elder Scrolls game. What happened to Starfield? What? Say what now?
Mm-hmm.
What? They make Fallout and Elder Scrolls, right? Yeah. And Starfield. That's the new thing. Is it a new thing? Oh, I didn't know about a new thing.
New
it's
things can happen? What?
It's the stupidity of these analysts telling them, oh yeah, this is a good... You know what people want? More looter shooters. They want more looter shooters with microtransactions.
Yeah.
Microtransactions, because I haven't been able to pick up a bloody newspaper in at least 3 years. So I know what I'm talking about.
Borderlands 2 was da bomb, man.
Yeah. So this is unfortunately where we always find ourselves, right, in the industry, because this is like just stupidity on top of stupidity on top of stupidity. But this is the way that normal like companies function. Like as long as there's like free competition, right? Because like if there was free competition for, I don't know, let's just pick an industry that the government bailed out recently. Cars. If you had competition in cars, unrestricted competition in cars, right now we'd have this thing that's this company that's in India that makes a comparable car that's comparable to the cars that you could pick up today here in North America for like $35,000 as an entry fee. That's your entry fee. That's the lowest. That's the cheapest model. In India, they have a car that's comparable to it in every way, shape, or form that sells for, and Trauma might be able to confirm this for me. I believe it sells the top end models of the car sell for about $7,000. The low entry models is about $2,500. So this is where competition is a good thing. When you don't have somebody constantly bailing them out and say, all right, you guys are going to fail because you became bloated, because you didn't know how to like evolve anymore, because you couldn't, pump out the new thing that people are actually interested in and need. Because you can't do that, you're going to fail and go bankrupt, and then a bunch of new companies are going to pop up to fill a void that you have. When you actually allow that to happen, it's amazing what kind of like technological like jumps you can have. It's shocking how much that impacts it. And no, I'm not being political. I'm just stating an obvious fact. When you let something become bloated, fat, and then you force people to continue to use that product even when it's useless or when it's completely ridiculously overpriced, people find new ways of doing stuff.
Could you imagine if they tried bailing out game industries? Or game
I warn you, we joke about this now, but this is entirely an option.
That would be horrible.
If certain politicians get their way, games would become a baseline rudimentary experience that would be controlled by a board that controls things, that exists, like it kind of like control like football and gambling and like all the other things that the government has its fingers in, or giant bureaucratic entities have its fingers in. And eventually, like I can imagine the scenario where, you know, people finally get fed up enough with all the violence and the brainwashing that happens in video games. We have to do something. Think of the children. I can imagine that a politician will say, "Oh, guys, we have to think of the children. We have to take this over and control this, and we have to regulate it to hell." And so you can't have Cyberpunk because it's got, you know, it's got breasts, and you've got dingling longs, and you've got peachy peaches, and you've got all this stuff, and you can't play that. You blow people's heads off in that game. Do you know how much that's going to encourage you to blow people's heads off in real life? I mean, you just jumped off a skyscraper, slid down the side of a building with your arm claw, landed on a guy, and blew his head off. Everybody's going to be encouraged to do this.
Oh man, I enjoy Bizon's comment there in the chat. We play it for the waifus, you know? All this talk, and what about the waifus?
Think of the waifus. Think of the waifus. And the husbandos, if you're...
and the husbandos, yes, for Lady Reaver.
If you're Lady Reaver. Anyway, yeah. Well, man, that was quite a monologue, my friend. Good job.
Well,
I couldn't keep up with all the games you were talking about with the slides, but yeah, I don't have slides for some of them.
So I suspect that one day we will see a politician come in, say that for the good of the children, we must act, and they'll take this over, and then from there, I think what we're going to see is that we're going to see this move to basically like mandate it as a mandated experience,
and we will see you there in the future on the dark web trading bootleg indie games on the dark web. We'll be right there. Because, screw that. You're not going to tell me what I can and can't play. All right, some great comments. Dustin P says, the looter genre needs a refresh and better tactics because looter games are super easy to monetize with real-world money. And also says, personally, I cannot support Genshin because the devs have caught the greed bug by lowering drop chances and increasing pricing, forcing you to purchase the primo currency. Yeah, that is unfortunate, and that was my fear for that game, is that you know people were really like, it seemed like an excellent experience for the first many hours, and you didn't really have to pump any money into it, but my fear was eventually there was going to be a paywall or a time gate or something like that, and it sounds like that is the case. So hopefully they fix that. To make it better. And then
I hope so too. Right now they are bleeding players due to like the grind and the money. And again, I think they could refine it. I think they could do a couple of things. There's some people that are always going to wail. There are some people that will always wail because they can. And if you gave them, I mean, we see them wail in other games. Like there's like World of Warcraft had just closed down this issue where people were, some people's rigs for this, like 5 or 6 computers running 40 accounts, running around as a massive 40-man raid, just one-shotting everything in the game. Every time you mined a single node or gathered a single node, you'd gather 40 of them, and then you'd be able to take that and just dominate the auction house. There were people who, and thankfully WoW's put an end to this, but in every instance there is people who wail. There are people who will try to do things. I remember the first time that somebody wailed in League of Legends was when they wanted Lee Sin the Blind Monk to get into the game, and a guy approached the studio and said, "Hey, I'll give you like it was a lot of money. I think it was between $20,000 and $50,000." They said, "Hey, do this champion. I want to help design the champion." And the studio, which was still a fairly indie studio at that time, said $50,000.
Good night.
All right, sure. So they brought him in, and so yeah, was that guy a whale? Well, technically speaking, yes.
Is it a whale or is it an investor?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he got any stock out of it, so I'm
No,
gonna go out on this. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. And again, this was secondhand information, so I don't know how accurate it was. But this is a thing that happens with a lot of studios, and I really wish Genshin would. I wish that they overhaul their system. I think that they could do it. There was another mobile game that was quite good. You just saved up crystals that you got through like playing the game, and you just straight out bought champions for a flat price. And then there was another whaling system that you could go whale on, but it was one of those systems where it's kind of pointless, right? And I think, like, honestly, I think those kinds of mechanics are somewhat acceptable in the form of like depends on how you try to set it up, but I think that they're problematic because they always like end up bringing out the greed. But I mean, if you're wanting to make a game now, it's expensive, it's hard, you got to pay a lot of people salaries, and somebody who's like, hey man, can you give me an option to blow like $50,000 on your game? And you're like, well, why would we do that? It's like, well, I'm a Saudi prince who has a lot of money and I'm really bored. It's like, well, we could make a special thing that basically everybody looks at and goes, well, this is pointless. Why would I put my money into this? But we could do that. And then the guy's like, sure. It's like that. And again, I don't know we need to have a conversation about whether or not that's a good thing or not. But
if I ever have money to burn, which I don't, but if I ever do, I think that'd be fun, investing in like startup indie studios.
Mm-hmm.
And,
well, Dustin in the chat, 100%. Like there's a Star Citizen has no gotcha mechanics, but they do have ships that you can buy for $25,000.
And you know what? I prefer that to the gotcha microtransactions. Like honestly, like it's insane. That's an insane amount of money to blow on what is essentially a digital item in the game, but
in a game that hasn't even released yet.
People can do what they want with their own money. If they want to spend $25,000 on a game that they're playing, well, I mean, okay, sure, whatever, helps fund the studio. Maybe like if you're in a position where you have that kind of money to blow on a game, it helps a little studio out. Sure, go ahead. But yeah, I'd much rather that than the predatory kind of thing that's going on now.
Question from Sword Sister in the chat. What exactly is gacha mechanic? How is it different than normal microtransactions?
Well, the word comes from basically a type of correct me if I'm wrong, Saib. It's like
let's simplify this.
Okay.
Do you know what a claw game is, where you move the claw around in the thing and you drop it down to try and grab something, and then pulls it over and it drops it in the thing, and then you reach in and grab it?
Yeah.
That's a gotcha mechanic. Regular microtransaction is a store. Like you buy the ticket to go to on a cruise, and you go on the cruise and there's a gift shop and you have to pay for stuff in the gift shop. That's normal microtransactions. A gotcha mechanic is where all of that stuff is inside a claw game that you have to put $5 into every time you want to use the claw and try and get something.
Except the claw game, you actually have a little bit of control over what you're getting.
Well, not really, because the claw in these claw games, like, they only activate the actual grip. They only activate that actual grip once every, like, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. And you don't know when it's actually going to grip something. And then when you actually manage to get a grip on it, you actually have to make sure that you actually get a grip. Like that claw, that when it comes down, it goes like clink and it like locks down. There's a little pressure thing in it where it actually like closes on something versus like just like loosely just dropping its hand on something and then pulling its hand up without actually like tightening it or like gripping anything. It just like slides the hand down and then just like pulls off, and you don't actually get that. So some machines are good. Yeah, so there's a number of times when you're using the claw machine where you are guaranteed to get nothing, period, unless you somehow magically are able to get that thing to like come down on a particular thing and where the claw actually catches on something, not because of grip, but because of like it just catching on a particular thing. And that, my friend, is nearly impossible.
Well,
That is nearly impossible.
I was thinking more like what Sunglare is saying, that it's one of those machines where you pump a quarter in and it gives you a random prize in a little plastic doodad.
Sort of, but in that example, which I mean they're both accurate examples, but in that example the balls, like when I roll in Genshin and I roll a bunch of things and I get a bunch of blue weapons, those aren't something, those are literally nothing. Those blue weapons, you get 9 of them every 10 pulls, and then you get 1 epic. Those 9 blue weapons, if I'm trying to level up a weapon that's level 50, I could use 9,000 of those things and not level it up 1 level. Well, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration.
So
but
I mean,
pretty
you are getting something technically, but it's worthless.
You're getting something technically, but it's essentially essentially nothing.
Bottom line, it's a randomized mechanic. It's like, I mean, would you say like loot boxes and gacha mechanics are basically the same thing or very similar?
Yeah. No, yeah, they're exactly the same because they're built on the same predication. In Fortnite, when you were flipping the cards, right, for the heroes and the characters there, you were flipping like, you'd flip like 20, 30 cards of uselessness garbage that you weren't going to use for anything. And then that next time you get something that you actually wanted. Or maybe it took 200 or 300 flips. That's kind of like, and that's the same microtransactions where you're saying, give me 50 boxes. And the guy's like, $50 for $50. Buy a $50, 50. You get yourself an awesome character, son. And then you flip, and this is what it's like in the sports games. Like, those EA games that are just trash. Like, so they had a failure. They had a failure a couple of years ago. We talked about this. EA handed out $50,000 for 5 streamers, I think, to pull on their campaign. So 10, like, it might have been more than that. They gave tens of thousands of dollars to one guy. Had $5,000 worth of in-game currency. All of these people had this big special, let's pull, guys, we're gonna get something cool, we're gonna get the best players, yeah, it's gonna be great, you're gonna look at this. And it was all this, like, it was all a marketing campaign. And it was a disgusting, vile marketing campaign because they knew that 98% of those fucking viewers, sorry, I swore, God, smash it. They knew 100%, those B words knew 100% that 90% of that audience was kids. And they gave this money, trucked this money over these streamers who then opened it. But here's the funny thing, is that in all of those streams, with all that $50,000, do you know how many of the top 5 characters they managed to pull on all of those accounts combined, with blowing $50,000 to try and get these top line characters? Zero. They got 0 of the top 5 characters.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's how bad their chances are. You could blow $50,000 in a row and still not get one of the top 5 players in the and it's like, why do people play this? Like, I can understand a game where it's like, oh, here's a gacha thing, and you blow like $200 on it. It's like, fine, you get disposable income. $200 is nothing to you. You're like, whatever. Like, I know people who spend that on beer money on a single Friday night.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off here, but we got to move on. We're a half hour in, and got to move on to our main topic. But yeah, thank you for the great comments.
I don't think we're going to spend an hour and a half on that.
Probably not, but anyway, thank you for all of the great comments in the live chat. Thank you to those of you who are asking others to to slam the like button. We really appreciate that, especially when the community's asking for it. That's great. Jungle Tom asks, what game is this just joined? Well, this is we are doing a news and opinion podcast on video games, and we're about to go through the Game Awards nominees, give our predictions, etc. There was a few other things a few other fun stories I was going to go through, but due to the time, maybe we'll.
We're not going to take an hour and a half to go through the game.
I was going to say, well, we'll talk about some other funny things that should I go through some of this other stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, there's nothing major. People have been getting, or people who have ordered PS5s through Amazon are getting anything but PS5s in the mail. This is a story from the Sun out of the UK, and so I don't know if it's actually just the incidents they cite are UK based. I don't know if it's happening elsewhere in the world, but people are getting like toilet paper, they're getting air fryers, cat food, George Foreman grills. Like that's really annoying. So hopefully Amazon's taking a lot of.
Sounds to me like now. So explain this to me. They're opening up the PS4 boxes and finding that there's nothing in the boxes but replaced items, right?
No, they're opening up the Amazon boxes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not yeah, they're not getting like a PS4 box with something else in it. They're getting an Amazon shipment after ordering a PS5. Sorry, I was saying PS4. PS5s. And they're getting like there's pictures of it on Twitter. They're getting these things. They're just getting other products that are that are not a PS5. Also on Ubisoft news, Ubisoft has issued an apology to Japanese players of Assassin's Creed Valhalla for censorship of some of the blood and gore in that game in the Japanese region. And I don't know how deeply we want to get into this, but apparently, so Assassin's Creed Valhalla features an option to turn blood spurts during combat on or off. And this was locked to off in this Japanese version, in the Japanese release of the game.
Now, I agree with with developers putting in an option. Some people I know faint at the sight of blood, and that is a genetic thing that people develop. You actually have to fight through gag reflexes. It's one of the reasons why you do why it's actually good to do dissections in high school, because it does get people to get over that at the best time. The best time to be able to get over a fear is when you're in your teens. If you have a fear of anything, the dark, heights, that kind of stuff, the best time to get over that fear is when you're in your teens. When you become an adult, when your brain hardwires itself in, it's a lot harder to get past certain things. So 100% agree with this option. It's also there as a legal option because in some countries you can't show blood, etc., etc., etc. But in this case, stupid behavior run by a bunch of people who are going, think of the children. So yeah.
Well, the weird thing is that Ubisoft claims that it was necessary for ratings purposes and that the Japanese ratings board was consulted before the decision was made, but Japan's Computer Entertainment Rating Organization says that Ubisoft did not contact them about this, so we really don't know what's going on. But anyway, it's interesting, and we've talked about this a lot before. And who was it? Commander Jane Shepard in the chat says the Hong Kong version was censored as well. That's interesting. That doesn't surprise me as much. China's got some pretty heavy restrictions on stuff. All right, and Notional.
Yeah, I was reading that too. They should have sent a bag of potatoes. At least that would have made sense. Potato console. I was just like, that's so funny.
Referring to the previous story, yeah, absolutely. Especially if the potato had the GLaDOS thing from Portal 2. Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm just going to switch to give you a browser view on the podcast video here. So finally, on the topic of Ubisoft, if you're hankering for a trip down memory lane with with their switch over to their new Ubisoft Connect system, Ubisoft is giving you the opportunity to commemorate your last 5 years of playing Ubisoft games in the form of. I've read online that some people are getting a video for this. For me, they just gave me this infographic. But basically, you can go to this page on their website and generate like a nice little summary of your last 5 years playing Ubisoft games. So I thought I'd have some fun and take a look at this. I've spent 117 hours playing Ubisoft games since January 2016. Well, that sounds like
much, man. That's kid numbers. What are you doing there,
I
man?
know. Well, I mean, compare that to my Steam numbers, and then get back to me. I've played 3 Ubisoft games. Well, that explains it. During 112 playing sessions on PC, my 3 favorite games which are apparently my only 3 Ubisoft games. Third place, South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Deliberately putting a space in there. Second place. Now this surprised me, that my second place game was the Division. That I actually played more hours of the Division than the South Park game. That surprised me.
Yeah, we put a lot of hours into.
We
that
did
game.
back in the day. We made a lot of videos. So let's take a look at my Division achievements. I took down. Oh, well, that's disappointing. I took down 0 rogue agents in Manhattan. Well, thanks for that summary, Ubisoft. And my favorite game was Assassin's Creed Origins. This does not surprise me at all. I put a lot of hours into that game, making guides and stuff. I'm a true Med J. 219 assassinations, 5 legendary weapons, blah, 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 blah. Altair would be proud, apparently. And some more garbage. Anyway, just thought that would be kind of fun to look at. So if you want to see your summary of your Ubisoft gaming experience over the past few years, you can go to the Ubisoft Connect website and get yours. And you might get a video. I didn't get a video. I don't know why. Maybe it's a regional thing.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Are you signed in over at the Game Awards so we can vote?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh, well,
I am planning to.
We're actually going to vote on consensus here.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah, make sure that you grab that and grab it so that people see we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Okay. Well, I can probably sign into the website.
Yeah, it allows you to sign in through Twitter, through Facebook, and through Google.
Okay. There's some stuff about. Oh yeah. So if you pre-order Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia, qualifying purchases get a bonus Stadia Premier Edition. Is Stadia getting desperate? More news at 11. And speaking of Cyberpunk 2077, even though we can't play Cyberpunk 2077 right now, apparently it was not delayed. In the Sims universe, you can get a nice mod for The Sims 4 that gives you a gaming PC with some sweet games loaded on it, including Cyberpunk 2077, so you can sit there and watch your sim playing Cyberpunk 2077, just mocking you.
Basically, right?
Just
all those clicks. I was watching the video and I was like, I'm so jelly right now.
Dorian Gray says, I'm not even going to watch the Keeleys this year. Not enough nausea medicine to cope. All right. Let's get on to the Game Awards. So we are, as I've said, well, I'm going to do this, before I put it up on the screen, I'm going to do this login thing, just in case it, any personal information pops up here, but let's see.
Nope. If you use the Twitter one, it should just show the Twitter thing.
As long as you didn't use the Twitter one, because then it'll just bring up my.
No, I'm currently on my official Gmail, my Obsidian Gmail. Yes.
All right, folks. So we'll take a general consensus of myself, Moontag, Obsidian, and you folks in the chat as far as which one we're going to vote for in every category. All right, let's move it over here. So I do love this parallax effect that they have. Oh, I just realized I've got to move my chat window now so I can actually see what people are saying. So yeah, pardon us as we
Yeah,
just get
I'm
set
trying.
up here.
I'm trying not to look over at the screen too much because I know this is messing with the audio. Yeah. So I mean, again, this is kind of a thing where we get to do a year in review of the games in the industry. This is not us like praising the altar of Keeley. I've said before, I think he does a pretty good job for the position that he's done. I hope he doesn't let it go to his head or he gets corrupted. There are obviously some politics that are starting to happen. We kind of talked about a little bit of that last year. However, the primary thing that this allows us to do is this allows us to go through the games, talk about them with our community, and see where everybody's head is at, which is always a very, very valuable thing to do. So, yeah. Again, I don't believe that the Game Awards themselves is the best example of gaming awards, and give it like I think it's the best example that we currently have within like the world of video games. It's clearly the only major award game show that actually matters. But I don't like that they're not as transparent enough. But yeah, they're not transparent enough on their numbers and handful of other things that I would like them to be. So, but at any rate, that's just me. This is me venting about this. This going through this list together as a community is a community thing where I get to see where everybody's head is at. So please let us know as we're going through it. Make sure that you are up to date on the time on the video, and then post your comments and your ideas on it. And if you're watching this in the replay, please pop down your lists in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. We'd be curious to hear what you think. Venchi, did you vote The Last of Us 2? I'm gonna go with no. I mean, I haven't voted yet, but I'm pretty sure Saib did not vote for The Last of Us 2.
No, we have not voted on this site until now. We're doing this live.
You're doing your vote too? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to duplicate my vote on what you're getting, just so that I have a record of it. Because last year we went through this, we didn't have a record of it. So
yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. All right,
Moontag, you should too open it up if you can.
I'm also voting. Yeah.
You're gonna vote in.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna.
For Game of the Year, I want to talk about. I have a mini rant here for Game of the Year. I am disgusted, annoyed, and flabbergasted that this is the list of games of the year.
Yeah.
WTF?
It's kind of baffling.
WTF? Three of these games are only available on a single console that only 20 to 30% of the entire gaming base has. What in the world are you thinking? Like, oh, good lord. This is absolutely ridiculous.
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I mean, it doesn't speak to the quality of the game itself. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't, but I'm still annoyed that this is the list of games that we have. We have one indie game that's available on PCs. We have one Nintendo game that's only available on Nintendo. We have 3 games that are exclusively available on the PlayStation, and one game that is available on all platforms. That, to me, is astounding. Astounding. And, frankly, insulting.
Well,
so my vote here is going to be for Doom Eternal, because it's actually the only game here that is completely inclusive for the Game of the Year. To be inclusive to everybody who is a gamer. This game is available on the consoles, on the Nintendo console, as well as on the PCs, and as well as I believe that there's even a port there is an official supported platform for classic Mac OS. So truly, this is the only game that deserves this award. I'm not commenting on, like, I think, Ghost of Tsushima is a very good game. I think Hades is a great game. I think Animal Crossing is a great game. They do not belong, nor do they deserve to be on the Game of the Year award when they are limiting themselves to a single platform.
Well, I guess there's a difference in philosophy there, because I mean, yeah, if that's part of your criteria, but obviously that's not the criteria that they're using.
This is my criteria for Game of the Year. Is the Game of the Year needs to be playable by at least 50%. At least 50% of the audience of gamers.
Well, it's like that guy.
Which this is
It's
not.
like that
None
guy
of these are
said,
except for
though.
Doom.
It's like that dude said. I mean, and you can play it. You know, you just have to buy a
Yeah.
PlayStation. You know, anyone can play it if you buy a PlayStation.
Yeah. So
I
my
think
vote
you're,
is Doom.
I think you're outvoted though. The chat overwhelmingly is voting for Ghost of Tsushima. And I would say, like, if we ignore the console availability thing, I mean, personally, I wasn't gonna go for Ghost of Tsushima. That's definitely where our chat seems to be leaning. Doom Eternal seems to be the second choice. Just doing and Doom Eternal is
Hades is great. These a lot of these games are great, but they can't be on the game of the year.
But they are. We have to deal with that.
I know, but I'm saying I don't know how anybody thinks that they should be game of the year contenders when they only allow less than 30% of the players have access to this game. It's absolutely mind-boggling that this would even be remotely considered.
Well, yeah.
I know. Unpopular opinion with corporate,
Well, it's not
corporate.
just, I mean, I guess it's just you're putting you have a personal opinion of the game of the year, like, should be available to a certain percentage. I mean, obviously that's not what they're going with. Their definition is recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. And if we go with that criteria, okay. Moon, you were trying to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no. I was just saying, like, unfortunately, we've got this selection to work with, so let's deal with what we've got. And like you said, the criteria that they're going for is the overall experience of the game itself. And, like, personally, I haven't played, like, any of these games except for, like, the old Final Fantasy. And I've been watching Hades by one of our community members playing it. And, like, I can't even play Animal Crossing unless I just download a phone app. Like, I can't even play the actual game itself. I'm stuck with the mobile version. So, like, my vote currently is kind of for Hades because I actually got to see the gameplay and see and hear the dialogue and, like, be part of the experience for that. Whereas I don't have a PlayStation. I don't really have an interest in getting a PlayStation. So, like, Ghost of Tsushima is not really an option for me. I don't really know much about Last of Us. And, like, you know, at least Doom Eternal, I can get that on my PC right now if I wanted to. Right?
Well, it's going to be difficult for us to come to a consensus on this one, I think. I would definitely, like, I lean more toward Doom Eternal. I mean, that's, I've played it and I love that one. It's an excellent experience, but it's definitely, I think it is narrower than some of these other ones in terms of the appeal of the game. Like, I think it is.
Honestly, the accessibility of Doom Eternal is kind of the ceiling vote for me. Because I can't even play these other games.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. So that's 2 votes then for Doom Eternal from Cyb and Moon. Okay, so chat, I saw some Doom Eternal and I saw lots of Ghost of Tsushima. So could you quickly just spam which of those 2 you vote for, and we'll try to do a rough tally, and we'll pick between one of those 2. But while you're doing that, I just want to comment on some of these other ones. Yeah, Hades definitely made a splash over the recently. Apparently is an excellent game. Haven't had the chance to try it myself yet. Now, Animal Crossing New Horizons definitely made a big it's had a big impact, and in my household it's a huge hit.
My little sister
my wife and daughters just love that game. Like, it's crazy, and I don't get it. Like, it does not look fun to me, but they love it. And The Last of Us Part 2, you people picking The Last of Us 2, you can, I know you're probably joking. I think Doom Eternal gets it. From what I'm seeing,
I'm seeing
Doom Eternal. Okay, got to go with Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
I earned a badge. I voted in one category.
Yeah. Don't just close that out, because it's going to keep bugging you.
But The Last of Us Part 2. Now, let's talk about this. just quickly, why this is here, and we're going to be seeing it a lot today. Is this a political move? Is this an insider like, we've got to include this one? This game was steeped in controversy.
It was,
and it's like they're looking for a game that delivers the best experience, and
it was not a good experience for a lot of people.
yeah, exactly. Even the reviews that were giving it like 10 out of 10 were saying this is a difficult game and it's not a fun experience, but you should play it because it gives you the feels and it has something to say about something and it'll transform you, and we won't tell you exactly how or why or what. I went back and reviewed like some of the videos that we had done about it to refresh my memory about this, and I still can't believe it that they were like, this game is not fun, but you should play it because it has things and stuff that'll make you feel stuff and things. Okay then. So I don't know why it's here, but anyway, do you think The Last of Us 2 could possibly win this category?
Now, again, this is where the numbers thing comes in. The audience vote only factors in like 20%.
Yeah.
The rest of it is game insiders. With the way that the community is gearing in the world of game developers, I'm fairly sure Last of Us will get it. I'm hoping that Doom will get it because they are, well, every Microsoft developer is going to be voting Doom because it is the only Microsoft experience. Most of the PC players are going to be voting for this because, again, so PC developers are going to be voting for Doom Eternal. I think everybody, or not most, I think about 50-50 on the PC developers. And then a bunch of other people are going to be voting for the thing that they believe that they have to vote for to be socially acceptable. Even though their votes are secret, so whatever.
Well, all right then. Best game direction then. Move on to the next category.
Yeah. Best game direction. Final Fantasy Remake. I do not believe, nor do I understand how a remake is creating a new direction for a game. I don't get that. I really don't get that. Ghost of Tsushima, really strong in this category. Very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
You played it. Wait, did you play it? Sorry, no, you didn't play it.
I did not play it. No, I played last year's.
The other one.
Yeah, the Sekiro. Yeah, I played the hell out of that game.
Sekiro.
But,
I don't know why I'm confusing it with Sekiro. I don't know. They must both be.
It's not like they're at all similar themes.
They must both feature samurai in Japan doing and fighting things. It's still decent though. It's still decent. I'll give them that. Hades is a very interesting take on the roguelike genre. It's very interesting. I would be tempted to vote for that, but my vote is going to go with Half-Life Alyx because this is an actual new direction in games that we have not seen before. Like, we did not see this before. We didn't see this coming. This involved new tech that really finally made me see, or finally made me and many other people see where the full potential of VR can go in a story-driven environment. And if I could play through Cyberpunk in VR like this, that would be pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this and I'm going to say 100%. I don't even know why Last of Us is on here. They did not create a new direction for any of the gameplay mechanics, for any of the scope of what you did in the game. You could say best direction for story, but this is not story. This is direction and design, and innovation. And innovation, creative vision, and innovation are hallmarks. I don't think that has anything to do with the writing. I'm not looking at any of these from a writing perspective. I'm looking at them from what they've said: innovation, direction, and design. There's no innovation with the gameplay in The Last of Us 2. There is miles and miles and miles of innovation in Half-Life. So my vote's going to be with it for Half-Life here.
Yep, VR. Because like you said earlier, the remake doesn't make sense because it's not something new. It's just polished, right? And yeah, really, I'm excited to see where the VR gaming is going to go, and this is a great example of it. So that's where my vote is.
I agree. Yeah, I was gonna vote Half-Life Alyx too for very similar reasons. To respond to Notional, Notional says, wait, people don't want games in there that only 25% people can play, but you pick Alyx that 5% of PC gamers can play.
Because
it's a category difference. It's a category difference.
Let me rephrase. Best game of the year is something that needs to be accessible to all people. Game direction, innovation, direction, and design, pushing new boundaries. You don't need 20% of the audience to play that to see that. This is where more indie titles should be. I don't understand why there's no Final Fantasy should not be on this list because it's not innovative. You could maybe argue it's innovative for being a remake, but I believe that an indie game should take up that spot. Hades is a decent indie game, but it deserves to be here. Last of Us 2 has done nothing as far as innovation, direction, and design as far as gameplay. So, yeah. I don't understand why that's there at all.
Rensten. Final Fantasy VII is renovative. Yes.
Yeah.
And Kid Roy, yes, Hades is an indie game. Yeah. He was saying that I was saying he'd rather have an indie game take up the Final Fantasy slot. But anyway, chat seems to agree with us that that Half-Life Alyx is the choice here. That's the one I saw most often.
And again, a reminder, there's a very small number of categories that I believe need to be filled with games that are accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
This is not a category that needs accessibility to everybody. This is a category that needs to look at the game on its face and say, wow, this is truly innovative. So, yeah. That's why I did that.
Best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. So we got 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2 again. 13 Sentinels, I don't know anything about this game.
So this is a PlayStation 4 game. It's an adventure real-time strategy game. It's pretty darn good, but it is a small, kind of out-of-the-way game. But it is a unique game that is very good. It is very good. From what I have heard, the people that have been involved in this is one of the better games. I would definitely recommend that you try this. Excuse me. It has a Metacritic gives it an 86. Users give it a 94. This is a unique game. If you are on the PlayStation, you should pick this up. The storyline is apparently very, very gripping. And so I think this is good. This one for me is a tie between this one and Ghost of Tsushima. Again, I don't like remakes being on these lists. I think there should be an independent category for remakes. Final Fantasy VII was a great game, great story, but it's already been around for a really long time, and there's nothing new in the narrative or the storytelling. It's just they put it to a much better visual experience. That is all. So I don't believe that the remake version should be here. I think it cheapens the other people by being here. It is a great game, but it is not a new game and does not belong in any of these top line categories. That's my thoughts on it, at least.
What do you think, Moon?
It's between Ghost of Tsushima and Hades for me, because I don't know anything about the 13 Sentinels, and I agree with the sentiments about the Final Fantasy remake. And again, Last of Us just didn't have any substance to it from what I could tell. So it's between Hades and Ghost of Tsushima for me.
That's where the chat is at too, Hades and Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is pulled ahead in the chat, though.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So I guess we'll go with Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, let's go with Ghost of Tsushima. I hope they get it because the writers behind this were very, very good. I gotta give solid credit to the writers. They did a good job on that. The game is not super accessible, but the writing is good enough, and really it brings in some good stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, best art direction.
Oh boy. Okay.
For outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. And
I've
I'm
got
just, guys, personally, my vote is on Ori because I played that relentlessly. It was so good.
Oh yeah, the art direction in Ori was fantastic. Loved it. That would be my vote as well. Saib sounds like he might have an opinion though.
I'm blown away by the fact that there are 3 games that have been on every single thing so far.
Right?
Sorry, 4 things. There are 4 things that have been in every single category thus far. And it's like, gee, guys, really? Trying to shove this down our throats, huh?
This
I'm going to vote for Ori because I think yes, as far as art direction and style goes, Hades is good, but
It's also good, but Ori wins.
It's not as like stellar and stand up. I mean, Hades has a lot of the same like artwork that you've seen in similar titles in the past. So I don't see anything truly groundbreaking there, but the digital level or like the level of artistry in Ori is like you could take most screenshots from that game, have a painter do a painted version of it, and it would sell in art galleries because it's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I would
Ori's
say
the
Ori.
hands down winner. Just looking at chat here, I loved that game. I regret the fact that I wasn't able to complete my walkthrough of it, which I hate leaving those projects undone. But yeah, best score and music. Well, this is gonna be a tough one. The score in Ori also was magnificent. But the music in Doom Eternal was also amazing. It's between those two for me, but I don't really. I mean, I haven't played Hades yet, unfortunately.
In this one, I'm actually going to give this one to the first time I believe this game actually deserves to be in this category, because the music was actually redone. And I think Final Fantasy, for the music, deserves this. I think that Masashimi and Mitsusuto are incredible composers, as well with
Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah,
I love his work so much. Like
great stuff.
Yep.
I routinely listen to a lot of this music. I think Doom is a really close second, and so really I'm willing to say either or. It's a really close second because it again is really great. I don't think its style is as broad, but it's not supposed to be, and I don't ever complain about a game for doing what it's supposed to be. So Doom is supposed to be a metal smasher. That's what the music is. That's what you get. So
that it just
there are some
pumping.
We should mention that there still is an issue with the studio and the person who did the music for it, and that there was some consternation there, and there was some difficulty. Somebody didn't live up to their promised delivery date. Whether or not that was, what that needed or what that included or what the problem was there. Yeah, there's severe problems with that, and we may or may not want to take that into consideration. I'm just going to go for my personal tastes. These are really neck and neck, and really what it falls down to is that I have some of these songs queued up, despite the fact that I have not played this game. I've not played the remake. I do listen to these composers all the time. They are on my music lists, and so therefore I gotta give it to Final Fantasy for myself.
All right, Moon, what's your pick?
Personally, Final Fantasy as well. I'm most familiar with it. Like, it's songs that I love to play on the piano, and like as soon as I hear it, I recognize it, and I know exactly where in the game I am. So that's where I am at.
Okay, well, chat, we've got Doom, Hades, Doom,
Mostly
Doom.
Yeah.
And more Doom. Ori, I kind of lean to between Ori and Doom. I give it to Ori by a smidge, but
So it sounds like
Doom is the chat winner. Yeah.
I think what we'll do is I'm going to vote for Final Fantasy. You can on the main one we'll vote for Doom.
Okay.
Because I believe that it's
Yep.
it has, because it's so tight with my vote. It's like 50. It's like 50-50. It's like 41-40, or sorry, 51-49.
Okay.
Is really where I fall with the Final Fantasy thing. But the bulk of people are saying Doom, so I say we go for Doom as our official choice. I'm going to go for Final Fantasy as my secondary choice.
All right.
So.
Oh, Venchi. Okay, so wow. There's Last of Us 2 again, and Ghost of Tsushima again, and Doom Eternal again. So, best audio design. This is always a tough one when you haven't played the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I would say no, because you can, if you've seen streamers play the game with good audio, then I would say you get that experience. And I'm going to give this one to Resident Evil, because any horror game, sound really is where the game makes or breaks it. And Resident Evil 3, the remake, was, again, it is a remake, but the sound design in that game is truly beautiful. The sound design in Half-Life, I don't think was quite there. So I would put that at probably number 4. I would put Resident Evil, because it's a horror game and sound is so very, very important. I'll put that as a number 1, and then a close tie between Ghost of Tsushima and Doom for 2 and 3, and then Half-Life gets 4. I do not remember a single person praising the sound quality in Last of Us Part 2. I really, the biggest thing is that the NPCs call out each other's names. It's like, that's not hard to do. That's not, like, sure, not many people do it, but it's not actually like special. Like,
yeah, for me, sound is mostly about the atmosphere. Sound is one of those things that's when it's really good, you don't even think about it. You only notice when it's bad. And
I wish Senma's Sacrifice was on here, because man, that was amazing.
that game is
it's older though.
That was not this year though. Yeah.
I know, but I was just like, I was like, that's sort of like the atmosphere building.
Why is Super Mario 64 on here? Okay.
Right. Like, hey, come on, they're throwing on remakes and such a
well,
why
those
not?
remakes did come out this year, Moon.
I know. But I'm just like, that's sort of on par for the course. There's a comment from Ali Mafuz. Ghost of Tsushima is what I went for because of how the sounds actually help accentuate
Accentuate what, sorry?
The gameplay.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm going to change my ranking here.
Okay.
Because I realized that the chat was right. Sword Sister and a couple others did point this out. And exactly what you said. When it's good, you barely notice it. When it's really good, you don't even think about it. And I have to confirm that this completely slipped my mind. Half-Life Alyx does have an amazing sound design, because it is very, very immersive. They do have tech that because of the VR, sounds different when you're on the other side of wall to an NPC, where your head is at, versus like where your head is at, where like there might be like a grate or something like that, and that sound is coming through more clearly, but maybe a little bit echoey. So I gotta say that I still think Resident Evil did probably the best job, but I think Half-Life probably did a comparable job. So I think those two are probably at 50-50. Then I would put Doom and Ghost of Tsushima. Probably Ghost at like right below that. Then Doom right below that one. Very, very close. Again, very, 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 very close, because it's hard to do a shooter really, really well. And they did a shooter really, really well in Doom. So I gotta say, that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I think the vote here is Half-Life Alyx, because that seems to be the most common in the so it's tied for top for you, and chat is is really good. But I mean, we got Venchi in the chat making some good arguments about why The Last of Us Part 2 it's the only game that should win in every category. So you can check those out if you're curious. Okay, but yeah, for VR, like audio and VR has got to be.
Like Casey Ripsky says in chat, audio is so much more important in VR. I think even lots of the amateur stuff ends up better than lots of AAA non-VR games for audio alone. I mean,
and I will say, like The Last of Us 2, honestly, like I watched all the spoiler clips, and I don't think it had bad sound, but you know, whatever.
Resident Evil still, I think, is still one of the best, and I think that it's a good toss up tie.
Yeah.
Because it is Raven, you're 100% correct. Horror makes the sound, and in that case, it was a close. But in this particular case, I think more people.
Yeah, Cross Raven agrees with you. It should have been Resident Evil 3, but those were the only two RE3 votes that I saw. So sorry about that, but yeah.
I think that it has yeah.
It's between those two.
All right, best performance. Now, this one could be interesting. So we've got Ashley Johnson as Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2. Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Now, this is where I thought they're really pushing this one hard. Now, it's been a while since I watched the clips, but I don't know. I wasn't exactly focused on the quality of acting when I saw it, but we also have Daisuke Tsuji, I'm probably saying that wrong, as Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima, Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades, and Naji Jester as Miles Morales.
I'm gonna give this one to either Ghost of Tsushima or the Miles Morales, because in both of these you had really strong actors doing really good, and so I think I'm gonna say I don't know. Let's go Spider-Man.
I was gonna say Miles Morales as well.
It's a real tight call, but I think Spider-Man does take the cake here. Miles Morales' story was very, very interesting. Again, didn't play the game, but I watched through most of the cinematics and cutscenes on YouTube. So I got to say that I really liked his performance, and that his performance was pretty solid. And then, I think it's my vote.
Okay. So we've got.
I gotta confirm here. Some of you guys' names. Logan in Hades did do a lot of voice work and did a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job. So I think that's pretty good. But I don't actually like it when voice actors are forced to do multiple roles in video games, because that means that it's kind of a small thing. Like when it means that you're doing like a smaller type game when you've got the same guy voicing multiple lines. I think it's a great job, but I think it's a little too indie for this. Great job for sure, 100%. But I think Miles maybe takes it. So,
all right. Well, we have the live chat is voting Ghost, and
I'm seeing lots of Hades.
Okay.
Lots of Hades.
Moon, what's your vote? I know you watched a lot of Hades. Right?
Yes, I did watch a lot of Hades. So it was like, and I only watched a little bit of Miles Morales. So it is between those two for me.
Well, it's going to be a tough one to pick. I'm not terribly familiar with either of those performances. But based on reviews that I've heard for Hades, I'll side with chat and go with Hades.
I really like, just as a reference here, just so that people know that I'm not hating on. I think Laura Bailey is a very, very good actress. She does a whole bunch of different character voices in Critical Role for Jester, and Laura Bailey is a fine actress. She does a good job. She was pulled into a lot of this, political back and forth arguing, and she's just kind of a typical nerd. I don't think that she deserved any of the hate that she got for that. However, I don't think that the direction and that the I just have such a hard time getting behind anything Last of Us, because it took itself way too seriously, and it overacted pretty much everything in that thing. It's like it overacted so much, and it really strayed away from the lore of the first game, and it really kind of broke itself down. So yeah, I'm not hating on Laura Bailey. I think she's a fine actress.
Yeah. All right, let's see here.
But I don't think that any game in that category should win, because not any game. I don't think that game deserves a win in that category, because the director and the direction of the voice lines was significantly marred by bad writing. So
yeah, and as a performer, you can only work with what you're given, unfortunately. All right, so games for impact. The one category where I'm surprised Last of Us 2 is not here, and might have even deserved to win, because I mean, it made a hell of an impact.
Mm-hmm. It did make a hell of an impact, and I think that they forced this in here. That I believe that they did a really bad job here. They forced that game in all of the other categories, and then they said, well, we can't put it here. I think they should have removed it from one or two of these other categories. It does not deserve to be in best sound. It does not deserve to be in best musical score. It doesn't deserve to be in best art direction. And if they had then put it over here, I think it would have won. So, but now, looking at this, the only one of these that I've actually heard and I've actually seen a lot of is going to be Spirit Farther.
Spiritfarer, because I played a lot.
Yes.
It's so pretty, and I love the characters.
And
did it impact it had a huge impact. Yes, it did, because just the whole setup of this premise of the story in the game. Because oh man, I've been actually putting off playing it because I don't want to say goodbye to my characters.
You could play it again.
Yes, I know, but I'm just it's been wrenching my heartstrings. So just as I'm playing it, I know that the time to say goodbye is gonna come, and then I'm just oh no. And so yeah, it definitely had a huge impact on me.
Well, so yeah, the choices here are If Found, Kentucky Route Zero TV edition, Spiritfarer.
Fair, yeah, because you're ferrying spirits away.
Yeah, I'm just my mouth is having a hard time forming that word. Tell Me Why and Through the Darkest of Times. And yeah, I know nothing about any of these games, unfortunately, so I'll go with Spiritfarer, based on what you two have said.
Yeah. I think I would go for this as the vote. The other titles are all very, very small. Not to say that small titles are a bad thing in this category, but I think Spirit had a deeper story that didn't just rely on flash stories and popular messages of the day. Because when everybody agrees with you, and this is why you were 100% correct, Ash. If Last of Us was in here, I probably would have voted for it in this category, because if everybody is talking about you, and if not everybody agrees with you, that is a difficult message to put out. And I believe that when standing up and saying something that is unpopular, that is a difficult thing to do. Now, there's a lot of depth in this, and we aren't going to get it in here, but you have to ask for, because the key of this thing, thought-provoking game. It made a lot of people think, and that's what you got to kind of I got to point that out. It made a lot of people think, and it made a lot of people ask questions and think through things. That is what a game is supposed to do, even if you don't like the messaging. So,
yeah,
Yeah, if it was in here, that's the funny thing is they put it in the top categories, and then they begrudgingly probably pulled it from this category because they said, well, we can't have it in every category, and because of that, I think that it, I don't know,
Yeah.
but anyway, Spirit
Dorian
definitely deserves it, 100%.
Rensten says no Genshin Impact. Yeah, that's like right in the name, Impact.
Right?
Game that I would love to have seen here. That it's not a huge game, but it was very thought provoking for me. Was Cloudpunk. I would have definitely hands down voted for that one if it was in this category. All right, best ongoing game. So let's see here. Yeah, Genshin Impact had the most impact. It did have quite an impact. That's for sure. All right, ongoing game. The usual fare: Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty, Warzone, Fortnite, No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky.
I think last year I gave this to Fortnite. I can't remember if that was that year or the year before. I think it was last year I gave it to Fortnite because they were putting out so much content and they were doing a pretty darn good job, and people were actively interested in watching this. I think that's fallen away a little bit now. It's gotten a little less popular, but they're still doing things that are interesting and unique. And I think they're doing like movie nights and something now. So I got to give it to them. Good job, great job, even. But in this category, I don't like. So Destiny fell on its butt. It was looking really great, but when people got in and played this newest expansion, they discovered that there was a lot of reused assets, a lot of reused enemies, a lot of reused mechanics. There wasn't that much expansion here. I've got to give it that most of the Destiny players that I've been half watching have been complaining about this quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I can't vote for it because I know too many people who have honestly told me it was disappointing. There was one guy on YouTube. He was so excited. He was playing these other games. He was doing some Genshin stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, this is great, but you know what? I'm giving up. I'm turning my back because I'm going back to Destiny full time." And in 1 week, he was back covering the other games. That tells you something. That tells you something about how terrible going back to Destiny was, because he got almost no feedback, and he plowed through the content, and he's like, "Well, done now. I can't." Like he can't. There's nothing he can say or do. So yeah, interesting, very interesting. And I'm gonna throw this one instead. I'm gonna throw this one over to No Man's Sky, because as good as Fortnite is right now, it's not creating headlines. The headlines for No Man's Sky is, oh my god, the latest content thing makes this game truly a great. And so I'm gonna give it to No Man's.
All right, Moon.
Yeah, I don't know. Destiny just sounds like a really long grind to me, and like I've heard good things about Apex. I haven't heard much about the Call of Duty. I've heard like some good things about Fortnite, but honestly, No Man's Sky is like pops out to me.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion about this category, but chat is definitely giving it to No Man's Sky. So that's our vote.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly overwhelmingly. Let's see. Best Indie. Okay, here we go. It's one of my favorite categories every year.
Mm-hmm.
Spelunky 2. I've yet to try that game. Hades. Really want to try that game. Carrion. Apparently is really good, but it is not. I will not be playing that one.
Carrion is so Carrion's great. It has a lot of mechanics. It has a lot of cool stuff. But at the end of the day, you are just a monster killing witless NPCs.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Now, Spiritfarer. Would you vote that one in this category, Moon?
Yeah, it's between that and Fall Guys, honestly, because I really like the designs of both. Like one because of the solo play and the story impact, and the other one because of the interactions you can have with people and like the mini games and just the whole structure in general is very appealing.
Yeah.
I think Spirit is great. I think Hades is great, and I think Fall Guys is great. But for size and impact, even though maybe it was flash in the pan, I got to give it to Fall Guys.
Yeah.
For a while there, it dominated everything. everything.
This is true.
Until somebody came and played a different game with bean characters, which is not on this list because it didn't come out this year. It just got crazy popular this year. Of course, Among Us. Among Us really seemed to steal the spotlight from Fall Guys. But yeah, Fall Guys, I'm definitely. I think they're doing. I think those devs are doing a great job. I think they're doing a great thing. They've innovated on the battle royale genre. They created just it was a crazy fun game that's like a simple concept but ridiculously fun, and they are continuing to add and develop content for it.
It was number one on Twitch for several weeks. This is not something that any of these other games have, so that's kind of like my deciding factor.
Yeah. Hades I've heard is really good, but can't speak to that myself. I think that it's going to go to Fall Guys. There's a lot of different opinions in the chat about this. Original Ghoul says Fall Guys according to my kid. So okay, we got to represent the kid vote here.
Yeah.
Oh look, I voted in 10 categories. Okay, how many categories are there? How much more do we have here?
Still quite a bit. We're not even halfway through.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, moving right along then. Best mobile game. Okay. Now, I'm surprised Among Us is here. Now, did the mobile version maybe the mobile version is new this year?
I think it's counted as a mobile version, and I think that's how they're putting this in this category. I am really, really annoyed by this, in all honesty. Like, I am really, really annoyed that they couldn't put Among Us in any other category. Like, really? Really? So, unfortunately, because this is the only category in which Among Us appears in, I think we have to give it to Among Us because they don't appear in any other category. And I'm going to put this down for here.
I'm surprised you're not voting Genshin Impact for this.
Not when I can compare it to Among Us directly. I'd say Among Us has a far bigger impact and a far bigger hit than
I agree.
Let's see. Well, not a ton of votes in the chat, but Among Us seems to be, and I think I was gonna go with Genshin, but I think you're right. I do want to give Among Us a vote. So
there's a bigger reach to Among Us because like some people are a bit off-put by how much Genshin reminds them of other games, but like even like people who don't normally play games and like some of my other circles talk about Among Us, and so like if it's even reached them, then like heck yeah, I'm giving them a vote.
Genshin where Genshin really stands out for me in this category is the fact that you can play a game like that on mobile now is pretty impressive.
This is true.
All right, best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. So we got Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Valorant. Hello, Valorant.
Fall Guys,
how you been?
Or Fortnite.
I'm leaning Fall Guys here. But we've got some No Man's Sky in the chat. Apex. No Man's Sky, Among Us.
Ali Mafu says, Genshin has great waifus, but waifu games come and go. Among Us is made by people who come once a while.
Yeah. Where's the best waifus category? Fall Guys or No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky. Okay, Fall Guys. Well, toss up between Fall Guys and No Man's Sky then. I think No Man's Sky has a little bit of an edge here. I think No Man's Sky is just a little bit above Fall Guys in terms of votes. You know what? I would, because I mean that is the developers really did after a rocky, rough launch, and they really went from. Someone in the chat earlier said they went 0 to hero. They
agree.
The community support for that game. Now you could argue, well, it was by necessity because what they put out originally was crap. But they've really seemed to have turned things around. All right, best VR or AR. We got Dreams, which I don't think I've ever even heard of. Actually, I think I've heard of it, but I really don't know what that's about. We got Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, I haven't played it in VR, but I have played it, and I hear the VR experience of Star Wars Squadrons is amazing. Haven't played it for myself. I also hear that Half-Life Alyx is amazing.
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx gets my vote here because, again, this is, as far as like best VR experience, hands down, this is the best VR experience.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I think, okay.
Yeah.
Overwhelming
agreement from chat there. So, innovation in accessibility. Now, this is going to be, I don't know what these innovations were, personally.
Recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. That's what they're saying. I don't know why Assassin's Creed is on here. I don't know why Last of Us is on here. I don't know why Watch Dogs is on here.
Because it's not about the console availability.
I know why Grounded and Hyperroot are on here, and I agree with both of those. And I'm going to vote for Grounded on this one because
Grounded for me as well.
Yeah.
Grounded, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we got 2 votes for Grounded in the chats as well. Tech for color blindness and support for eye tracking tech and such. Which game was that, Notional? Or are you just referring to it in general? Dorian Grace's Last of Us 2 had amazing accessibility options. Okay. So yeah, so there's some talk about. Oh, okay. So the Ubisoft games have those things that Notional was talking about: the color blindness, eye tracking tech, all that kind of thing. This is a tough one.
So Dustin also says Valhalla also had the tracking.
Valhalla did, yeah. So yeah. I imagine that's also Watch Dogs Legions. That's also a Ubisoft title. We're getting some votes for Last of Us here. All right. I don't know. What do you think? There's a big mix. There's a big mix of votes.
What are you voting for?
I don't know. I'm undecided.
Well, we got 2 votes for Grounded and then a mixed bag from you in the chat.
Grounded. Cannot vote. Need more info. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Sword Sister says this category makes no damn sense.
Yeah. No, I think there's a couple people who are talking in the chat. Grounded seems to be the leading for people who are kind of like who kind of know what they're who kind of had that experience. So I would say I would lean that way.
Well, can someone tell me what was it that Grounded had to offer? Like in this category.
Well, I don't think we want to go into it too much, but they have certain, like, it's the same thing with the eye trackers and the, like, it's all becoming like pretty common tech. But yeah, it basically, like, if you're disabled, if you're playing with like one hand, or if you're playing with like less than 5 fingers, or if you're doing other things like that, that's where they're kind of talking about. And so this is where so that's kind of what's revolved around that. Most of these all have the same stuff. Grounded has a little bit more stuff, and we can go into that later. But just like I said,
all right. Well, I'll go with
like Grounded is really doing stuff in children's hospitals, and that's where you got to kind of like give them the vote.
Oh, well, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes in the chat says Grounded has a lot of people very good disability support. It's in children's hospitals a lot, so I support it there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. We do love to support the children's. We're hoping to start doing charity events for children's hospitals and stuff like that eventually. Definitely get behind that. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions about that category. We'll just have to make a decision and move on, I guess. So, best action. Well, let's see. We got Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage 4. I got to give this one to Doom Eternal. Like, the action, like, just in terms of pure heart-pumping action, it's fantastic. Let's see. Doom, Neo, Streets of Rage 4, Doom, Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, we can't pick Last of Us 2 for this one. Doom. Original Ghoul says Alex, and I know you'll choose Doom, but AAA VR game unheard of. Yeah, Doom has non-stop action. Only thing that stops it is the cutscenes, and the action is just top notch in terms of how it plays. So that's definitely my vote. What, Moon? What's your thoughts?
I don't know. Mostly I've only seen the gameplay from Hades, but I enjoy what I've been hearing about Half-Life.
Okay.
So I think Half-Life is probably going to be my vote.
I'd say Doom, probably.
Doom. Yeah, I think Doom gets this one. There's some other good ones. That's the unfortunate thing. Is like there's
Half-Life is very actiony, but I think it's a little bit more puzzly than it is actiony. So
I love puzzles though.
Yeah.
So
right, but this is.
So I'm gonna throw for this category. I'm gonna throw this to Doom again.
When it's specifically an action category, I think Doom takes it over Alex. Best action adventure game. Well, I mean, for me, I would give this to Fallen Order, but I have my doubts that one's gonna give this. What's that?
I lean that way too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Ori or Valhalla says Kikas. Sunglare says Star Wars. And Original Ghoul, Ghost of Tsushima, or Fallen Order. You know what? Fallen Order is getting more votes than I expected in the chat. What do you think, Moon?
Well, I really enjoyed Ori, not gonna lie. But I also enjoy what I've been seeing about Fallen Order, so
yeah. Ori was really good too. It is honestly tough to pick those two, but just Fallen Order.
I'd say Fallen Order because the other ones have that accessibility issue as well a little bit, but as far as like the puzzle solving, I gotta give it for the puzzle solving. I would have to put it for really it's like Ori, Jedi, and Spider-Man, and I would probably say Ori is probably the first one on that for puzzles. Jedi is probably like what would you say the puzzles were in Jedi, like good or pretty standard?
The puzzling, it wasn't memorable. But the adventuring in the world
was far more memorable.
It was like I just had such a fantastic time with that game. So that seems to be
all right. I'd say let's
Fallen Order definitely. Okay, the live chat is definitely leaning toward that one. So now best RPG for the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royale, Wasteland 3, or Yakuza Like a Dragon.
I would love to give this to Persona if it was actually available on more places.
Right? I don't know.
Like, yeah. Again, I think in this one, honestly, for the role playing and the story, the game that's kept me interested in the story more than anything else. Well, there's a couple of games that have done that very, very, very well, but they're not on this list, and I don't know why. Like, I have no idea why a couple others are not on here. But for this one, I'd say again because I don't think I don't think Final Fantasy deserves to be on here. It's a remake. I played through that story like well over a decade ago. I'm gonna say Genshin for this one.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
on
those
stuff that I've
characters.
played. And again, if I know a lot of people stop playing it after like the initial jump and they kind of hit that wall and people stop playing. If you play the continuing story right now that ties up the Liwa story, and you see there's three fight scenes back to back to back, not fight scenes, fights, and fight scenes and story content all in there, all at the same time. And if you've actually invested in the time in the story, you go, wow, okay, that's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Problems aside, I would say the story is quite classy there. And the fact that it's just really broad in its range right now.
Which one is your cat voting for there, Moon?
Genshin. Yeah.
Cat votes
Yeah,
for
just with
Genshin?
like the complexity in like the types of characters they present. Like even when you meet the NPCs, they're all differently named. They're not the same at all.
Mm-hmm. Yakuza's gotten a lot of praise. It does its storytelling very, very, very well. It is a true like natural progressing story. So that's great. But like I haven't seen people talking about it as much. Wasteland 3, I know, has done a very good job. But a series of issues with it popping out, and then a couple of like issues with it getting into people's hands, and then like a handful of other problems. It has kind of dampened the mood for me. Both of them do very good storytelling. So yeah.
Okay, well, the chat is very, very mixed. I saw initially a few votes for Wasteland 3, but because it's so mixed, like I can't get a good read on what the direction chat is going. So I'm gonna go Genshin with this one. Of course, don't forget you can go and make your own vote on the site as well. Best fighting game. Okay, we got to speed it up a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, best fighting game.
We're hitting things that are going to move a lot faster now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So best fighting game. My vote's for One Punch Man because One Punch.
Yes. Honestly, that's the title that I'm most familiar with, and only because I know the anime.
Okay. Votes. The chat is voting Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Street Fighter, Under Night. I haven't even heard of some of these, but you know what? I think we're gonna go Mortal Kombat.
Because I played like the old school like arcade games for Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Wait, now Street Fighter is picking up.
Yeah, don't go Mortal Kombat. That's not a new game. That's just a ultimate collection that they put out. It's not even a new game.
Oh, it's not from this year. Okay.
Yes, it's a collection collab stuff. Now, yes, there is Champion Edition again kind of falls into that pack. So this is a little tricky because there is some shenanigans going on. There's definitely some shenanigans going on. So,
all right. Well, we'll go with One Punch just for the sake of time. Best family game. All right, we got
One Punch came out this year. Most of these other games are collections or like games from previous years. So
really?
I don't even know. Like I don't know what's going on here, but shenanigans seem to be afoot.
Maybe they just weren't.
Okay, I know hands down which one's my vote for best family. For the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform, Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure that's a unanimous vote there.
I think Fall Guys is a very, very close second in my mind.
Very close, but Animal Crossing.
Best sim or strategy game: Crusader Kings 3, Desperados 3, Gears Tactics, Microsoft Flight Simulator, or XCOM Chimera Squad. I've heard a lot of good things about Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna give this as far as like a pure numbers wise. Crusader Kings, it did very well. It was really good. Very niche audience with that, but growing and big. I'm surprised Stellaris is not on here. Stellaris, same company from Crusader King Paradox, is doing an amazing job. Love their content, doing very, very well. Very mod friendly, very mod open. They even created their own mod manager, which is spotty at best. But we appreciate that they understand how much of a draw there is with that. Desperados did a pretty good job, but it's nowhere near to being able to top this. Gears Tactics, again, it's a good concept, but they basically just borrowed everything from previous genres. XCOM Chimera Squad, same problem. It's the same thing, slightly different shell.
Yeah.
And that's what I got to say with Gears Tactics and Chimera Squad is they're basically the same damn thing still.
Well,
now
I wonder why they combine sim and strategy, but anyway.
But here I'm gonna go Microsoft Flight Simulator because again, although they haven't changed as much, there's not much you can change in a flight simulator. They have opened up the tools and they've really shouted it out, so I got to give it to them. So yeah, let's do that.
All right, best sports racing game. This is, oh boy, I don't know. How about we just don't vote? Oh wait, Tony Hawk.
Yeah, let's vote Tony Hawk on
it's
this.
The only one that's
Tony
not
Hawk.
loaded with garbage and predatory crap and whatever.
Yeah.
Best multiplayer: Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty: Warzone, Fall Guys, or Valorant.
Among Us.
Among Us.
Among Us.
Clearly the significant winner here. This is no question.
Chat
This
agrees.
is,
Chat agrees.
100%. Among Us is pure gold, and it has been doing great and fantastic.
Content Creator of the Year. We got Alana Pierce, Jayan Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrie. The only one I'm familiar with is Alana.
Alana
Yes.
has really cranked it up. She's gone through a lot of difficulty. She left her job in the last few years, and she's really kind of struck out on her own. She's been doing a great job. I'm going to vote Alana because I know her story. I want to give a solid shout out to Valk. She's doing a great job as well, really growing her portfolio. The other three I'm not very familiar with, but I got to say Valk, and between Valk and Alana, but Alana is more widely known.
The chat.
I'm
sadly, Mad Queen's not on here. We're not on here.
Yeah, we're not on here. This is really sad. One day I hope to be able to vote for myself on here. So
We'll see. All right, I guess we'll give it to Alana.
We'll give this to Alana, and congratulations to all of these people. They've all been doing very, very well, and they all deserve kudos because they're clearly doing something right with their community. So,
all right, best debut game: Carrion, Mortal Shell, Raji, The Ancient Epic, or An Ancient Epic, Roki, and Phasmophobia. Now, those
this is going to be a toss-up between Phasmophobia and Carrion. Phasmophobia has been, again, is one of these games where like a lot of people are playing it and a lot of people are saying really, really good things about it. It implements new and creative tools, lots of cool things that were really honestly very surprising. But taking that, I gotta give it probably to Phasma because they've done a really great job and I can see them growing. Whereas I don't know if Carrion is good, but I don't think it's a winner in this case. But I don't know.
Moontag.
Phasmophobia is the only one I recognize.
Phasma is a very it's an innovative game. And for something being right out the door from a new studio, it's very innovative. Like technically, it has a lot of technical limitations, but it's a brand new type of game, and it's fantastic.
There's been 50,000 people playing it in the last 24 hours, so I'm going to say, yeah, probably really, 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 really good.
Phasmophobia chat, a lot of chat votes for that, also for Mortal Shell, but we'll give it to Phasmophobia. Best esports athlete. Now, I don't know any of these people. I don't follow esports, so you tell me who to vote for.
So this one, we're going to give this one to the man, the myth, the legend, Kim. I'm going to give it to Kim. Good job, Kim.
All right. I don't know if anyone in chat has the
best esports coach. We're going to give this to.
I just want to respond to. So Cross Raven says Phasmophobia is ugly and broken. Yes, it is. It is.
It's a debut game from a debut studio.
But it is innovative enough. Like it's an
and despite the fact that it's got a lot of problems with it, there's still like it peaked at 120,000 players on Steam, and it is now comfortably sitting reliably at 50,000 players.
Yeah.
So yes, lots of problems, but it's an indie studio. It's their first game. There's going to be issues, and you kind of have to look past a lot of that. Does that always work? No. And is it a bit of a crutch? Only sometimes, I think. Yeah. But anyways, let's go.
Neil Druckmann is not a choice here, Benchy.
Let's go. Dahi. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
All right. Yeah. There's not much discussion we can have about this category because we just don't.
Best esports event. The best esports event, hands down, continues to be League of Legends. Their events continue to have just a super high production quality, very good experience, very good interaction. Great. They have music. They have personalities. They have all kinds of stuff, and it always looks good. You can comfortably sit down, watch the opening ceremonies to the League of Legends World Championship event, and go, "Wow, that looks cool." You can't say that about a lot of these other things. So I'm going to go with League of Legends. I think they're the ones who probably
deserve. And best esports game. We got Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Fortnite, League of Legends, Valorant.
I talked about this earlier. Despite the fact that there's a continually smaller player base, League of Legends is still where you find the best skill and the best thinking outside what you would normally consider a smaller box. That maybe like Call of Duty, it's a Twitch game. Yeah, same with Counter-Strike. There's not that much strategy in it. It's just boils down to twitchiness. In Modern Warfare, you have the gun, you have grenades, you have knives, and you have players that are going, shooting at each other.
Okay, but I mean, that's not how much strategy is involved is not the criteria for this category. I mean,
I no, I'm talking about everything, like overall, both skill players, tournaments. The fact that you can easily set up a local tournament for League of Legends, and you can't do that for any of these other games, is still really shocking.
We've got, nobody in the chat is voting League of Legends, though.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty. Someone did. Call of Duty, Counter-Strike.
When people say lol, they're not lolling. It means League of Legends.
I know. LOL. Oh, LOL is still strong. Okay, there are a couple now.
If it says LOL just because of KDA, wholeheartedly agree. I love KDA.
Okay.
Fortnite, despite being still a really huge game, they have not been opening this stuff up to local competitions, which is honestly kind of weird. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna vote. Yeah, let's go.
More esports categories. Is this the last? Oh, these are the last two. Okay, well let's.
Esports hosts. Esport host. I gotta say, a lot of these people are pretty funny. Alex is pretty hilarious. There's two Alexes.
Yes, there's two of them.
Golden Boy is doing a great job. He's very funny. The Machine he's pretty funny too. I gotta say, professionalism. I can never say this name correctly. Deporter. I looked up some of these people the other day. The three on the right, very professional. The two on the left, professional and comedic. So the machine, we're getting a lot of the machine. Bald guy takes it. Okay, the bald one. Yes, there's one for the bald one.
Golden boy. Okay.
Asmongold would be proud.
I like the bald guy because he looks like Morpheus. Can't remember the actor's name, but he looks like Morpheus from the Matrix.
I'm gonna vote. Me personally, I'm gonna vote Deporter, but it looks like Golden Boy seems to be the winning one.
He seems to be, yeah. I don't know if it's just because he's bald or what, but okay. Best esports team.
Yeah, I still don't have an opinion on this. I mean, the Korean team is honestly really, really good. Still, I think there's 2 Korean teams on here actually. Nope, just the one. I guess.
So Ali Mafu says Damwon.
Yeah.
Damwon.
Yeah, Damwon seems to be the
Overwhelmed.
G2. 2 votes for Damwon, 1 vote for G2. Damwon. Okay. We'll go with Damwon. I saw that's the first one to get to 3 votes.
Damwon seems to.
All right, everybody.
All right, that is all of them. We managed to get. Remember last year we just kind of like got to this point and we were like, whatever, because we didn't know.
Best esports team is The Last of Us 2. Yeah, okay.
There you go.
I have to give another shout out to Dungeons of Nahelbrecht. Great game. I was really sad that it didn't make it up here. It's doing really good. My only qualm about the game is the forced fail ratios and having these forced fails. They're not fun. It's not. I know it's part of the story, but it's just not fun. And but I would still encourage you, check out that game. If you haven't ever gotten into any grand strategy games like Crusader Kings, I think I messed that word up. So any of the Paradox games are great grand strategy games. Stellaris is hilariously fun and awesome. You can make any race you could possibly want. However, be careful with the mods because there's some mods that do some weird stuff. I was playing a round in which I became a hyper reproductive society of very low intelligent creatures. And it gave a unique name for that, and it was pretty funny. Then I also played an impotent race of brain slugs, and that was also very funny. You can do those things in Stellaris, and that's pretty cool. You can now play as an undead. They got an undead thing going on right now, just the latest expansion. I haven't had a chance to touch that one yet, but it's pretty darn cool. And World of Warcraft, Shadowlands is making a bit of a comeback. If you are interested in Shadowlands, if you have been wanting to get back into the game and you want to play very casually with a bunch of friends, we have officially started a guild. So you may join the S Legion on World of Warcraft, and you can play with us. Hit up our Discord if you want to know where to join for that. No requirements. We're just going to have fun and play the game and see what we get. We're going to do some raids and some big stuff. I'm going to be doing some high-end content. I'm going to try to push into Mythic and Heroic raid. If you guys are interested in joining in with that or watching our progress, please follow us there. There we go. Pretty much right on time. So
all right, and we will wrap up the show with that. Thank you so much. Cyb and Moontag usually head right to the Discord server to chat with people after the show. I have to go deal with family stuff, unfortunately, but well, not unfortunately, but I can't be in the voice rooms as much as those two can. So if you want to talk some more about all of this stuff, head to the Discord channel, hit up one of the voice rooms. You'll probably see Cyb and Moon in there, and you can find. Absolutely. My voice sort of drowned yours out there a little bit, but as Moon said, please do slam that like button before you leave if you haven't already. If you have already, well, don't hit it again because that'll unlike. So, unless you plan to like it again after that. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for the great conversation in the chat. Thank you for listening live or after the fact. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help to make this content possible. Our big damn heroes on Patreon: Robin, Shua82, Timebean, Schoolman, Lady Reaver, Dreco Den, Niv, Too Tall 12, and our channel members here on YouTube: Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, and Terror K. All right. Don't forget, you can join our live show here on YouTube every Wednesday and Saturday and interact with us and other listeners. So if you're listening after the fact or on one of the audio-only platforms, make a note to join us for the live show. You can find the schedule on the Discord server, and you can join with us, interact with other listeners, and be a part of the discussion. Check out our YouTube channel, the Triple S League, for some game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. On behalf of Sybe and Moontag, thank you all for joining us, and we'll talk to you again very soon.